guys, I'm Jade Mallard, your AAU social media coordinator. Today we are taking some time to get to know a little bit more about AAU alumni Harrison Phillips.
Howdy, howdy. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. So let's go right into it. What are some of your favorite AAU sport memories?
When I think of, I did AAU baseball, basketball, football, wrestling, but I think at that time in my life, wrestling was the forefront of my all my thoughts and desires and dreams. And so I can just remember traveling with the AAU and competing in like national tournaments because, you'd get people from all over the nation who are under the AAU umbrella. And so it was cool to win like national championships.
And what are some of those values and lessons you learned playing in AAU that still apply to your career today?
Well, I think one of the things is that you can be chronically competitive, but still find joy in what you're doing. Obviously, winning is the key component to really any level of sports, but especially at the AAU, depending at the level, they instill the values of having fun and finding passion to your sport so you don't get burned out too soon. And those are still important traits that you obviously carry into the NFL and whatever other professional sports that, our alumni have made it to.
And what's some of the best advice you've ever gotten from one of your AAU coaches?
It'd be tough to pinpoint like a single sit down, hey, here's the one liner, but I would just say instill just like the hard work, grit. If there's something in life you want athletically, you can accomplish that. You don't let anything hold you back. If you have desires, I'll just use football, for example. If you're 8 years old and you want to be an NFL football player, obviously you can't dictate if you're going to be 6'6" or if you're going to be 320 pounds, but you'll be somewhere in there. There's players all over the world. There's, running backs that are 5'6". There's receivers that are 165 pounds. There's everybody in between. You can explore different positions and do whatever you have to do to work to either be a punt returner, a slot receiver, a cornerback, a defensive tackle, whatever your body kind of lets you get in, develop to become. But more the idea of that if you are willing to work for it, you can achieve whatever you want.
And you kind of referenced it earlier, you work with kids through your nonprofit. How important, not just AAU, but youth sports, being active at a young age, how important do you think that is to their overall success as adults?
The kids I work with?
Kids in general.
Yeah. There's so many studies that go to show like structured playtime, physical activity, all the positive benefits that has, not only in the physical health of these young athletes and kids, but also the social benefits that it has, as well as learning those things that I already mentioned that were instilled in me about hard work, about effort, about working for what you want. And, in a world where 40% of the world is obese, I believe, or of the United States, 40% is overweight, near obesity. It's so important to instill in kids at a young age to find a passion that they enjoy doing, even if they aren't going to go play professional basketball in the NBA, then maybe they still join a league, and for the rest of their life, every Wednesday they're meeting up with their work buddies to play basketball because of the passion they found for it when they were a kid. And so I will support any person I ever meet and encourage them to try whatever activity, if it's taekwondo, if it's dance, basketball, bowling, tennis, anything. AAU sports definitely can help you just become an overall better person later on in life.
Awesome. So let's transition into what you've managed to accomplish as an NFL player. Your record is great. I've had a lot of fun researching you and your stats and kind of how you've been able to participate on that big stage. So let's talk about how you got there. So AAU sports, college, what was that recruiting process like? And, kind of take us back to that rookie year. What was your mindset during that part of life?
Yeah, I was blessed with size my whole life. I was the biggest baby born at the hospital I was born at, and just was a big kid my whole life. So sports came pretty naturally to me, just being, the biggest kid out there. And so all through youth into high school, really about my freshman year of high school, I realized that I could really do something with this, with sports. And like I mentioned, wrestling was actually my first sport I was really, really successful at. And so I won a couple state championships and national championships. And football was where my heart was because it was a team sport, and I enjoyed playing, more team sports with, celebrating other people's success. And by the end of my senior year, I went to a whole bunch of different camps and a whole bunch of different showcases. And I believe I had over 50 scholarships to wrestle and over 30 scholarships to play football at the next level. And I ultimately chose to go to Stanford. I had plans to wrestle and play football there. I did not compete in wrestling due to a knee injury I had. Didn't want to risk it because I knew how close I was to the NFL. But still, in my off seasons, I would train with the wrestling team or give their heavyweight a good look. And then after my fourth year at Stanford, I had the option to either stay for another year or go to the draft that I declared for the NFL draft, and was drafted in the third round to Buffalo. Got up to Buffalo and was embraced in the community right away, and playing in front of those fans was everything, and had a little bit of success. In my second year, I tore my ACL for the second time, so I only got to play in a handful of games that year. And then this year I came back from that knee injury, which was, a daunting task, and, got out there and played a little bit. And I'm really optimistic about, being back next year. 2 years off the knee injury is really kind of how long it takes to really be yourself. So, but managed to help our team win an AFC East championship the first time in 25 years.
And let's talk a little bit about that knee injury. Adversity. While yes, we're helping kids learn how to win at a young age, we're also helping them how to lose, how to go through challenges and still want to fight and get back on that field and play. Can you talk a little bit about how you got over that adversity and back to the field?
Yeah, so I tore my ACL twice, and the second time I had to have knee surgery on both of my knees because I already tore it once. So in order to replace it, they had to go into my other knee to take out. So I've had 3 knee surgeries. The first knee surgery I had was in college, and it was devastating because I just earned a starting spot on the team. I was starting as a true sophomore, and looked like I would be able to be like a first round pick. Like really thought things were on the up and up. And in the first game of the year, I tore my ACL, and it was devastating, and wasn't a part of the team. And that team went on to win a bunch of games without me, and it was kind of scary thinking, well, if they're so good without me, why do they even need me? And so you go into dark places. And then the second time around, really similarly, I earned a starting spot my second year. Everything was going good. I had the best game of my life and was named MVP of the game from my team. And the next week I tore my knee. And so there's so many roller coasters in sports. You go from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows. You go through so many different trials, and it really felt like, faith is something that I lean on. So it really felt like it was kind of my exodus, and, made sure I passed all God's tests and kept my faith so that, I can still glorify him through what I do. But sports are going to test you in ways that no other job or career really can. To constantly be competing at whatever level you are, wanting to get on the volleyball court, or wanting to be the libero, or wanting to have this many, just constantly competing. It always elevates you once you get out of your sport. One day I'm going to be done with football. It could be next year. It could be in 10 years. And when I enter the workforce, I'm going to have those things instilled in me from the young age working with AAU.
And I want to commend you on your overall sport knowledge. You have referenced a lot of our sports and programs that most people don't even know we have. So That is awesome. And just kind of to round out this part of it, what advice, you've kind of touched on a little bit, do you have for our young athletes just to keep them motivated? COVID took a lot of the season away from a lot of our kids. How to keep them motivated?
Yeah, especially on the COVID part, this is such a great time to take advantage of it because you're going to outwork your competition. So if you guys aren't having scheduled meets and scheduled practices, this is your time to get a leg up. And so when we do get back together and we do have competitions and we do have tournaments, you could be a completely different person and be so far ahead of the team behind you or the player behind you or whatever it is. And so I would, if I was a high school kid, a middle school kid, and this whole thing went on, I would have trained my ass off knowing that the next time you guys see me, you're not going to know what happened to me because the other kids are playing video games or sitting at home eating chips, and you can really take advantage of it. So I would just say, continue to work hard and try to outwork everybody else. Take advantage of all your opportunities.
Now let's talk about what is bringing you to the Super Bowl. I mean, the biggest honor in my mind, and I'm sure yours too, the most prestigious award, the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award. Tell me a little bit about your nonprofit, what you guys are doing, and kind of how you got nominated to be in the running.
Yeah, so I work with a nonprofit called the Playmakers, and I've been a huge part of it. And we're nationwide now, back where I'm from in Omaha, Nebraska, where I play in Buffalo, and I went to school in California. And we work with kids with developmental differences and special needs, and we just try to provide them opportunities that they wouldn't have without us. And we're not just a one-off football camp, that a lot of people do. We have year-round activities. I did 9 activities in Buffalo alone, from renting out a Dave & Buster's and letting the kids play games for free, to kickball tournaments, to drive-in movie theaters, Christmas parties, Halloween parties. I mean, we have a lot of activities that we do. I'm very hands-on. I plan everything and, send out all the invitations. And we work with probably 1,000 kids now throughout the nation, similarly back home in Nebraska. And it's been extremely rewarding. And one thing that we do special with these kids is, we don't treat them like they're different than us. A lot of kids with developmental differences, Down syndrome and autism, they know that they have different abilities and that they have Down syndrome or autism. And, if you treat them some type of way, if they see you talking to them the same way that you're talking to the 6-year-old, that can make them feel some type of way. They know that they're 15 and in middle school or in high school, and how they should be treated. And so we treat them the way that they should be treated. And we also empower them. And one of the things that I've learned that works so well is we teach these kids about the act of giving back and paying it forward. And so they are constantly in their communities, constantly in their classrooms, whatever they are, serving the community, volunteering, giving back. And it's so rewarding to see the smiles on their faces as they, there's perceptions about people with Down syndrome and autism and special needs that they can't do things. And we flip that perception and say they're so independent that they can do things for themselves and help other people. And so that really empowers them. So that was probably a chunk of the reason why I was nominated for the Walter Payton Man of the Year. But I like to say that my heart isn't biased. I have a lot of love to give, and there's a lot of different organizations that I work with. Some of the work that I've done just in this last year, donated over 1,000 meals to frontline workers in the hospitals, doctors and nurses. I work very closely with the police department and the fire department in my local communities to build relations with the youth, which I think is extremely big. I spearheaded an effort to raise over $500,000 so that the inner city schools of Buffalo, New York had Wi-Fi. There's an estimated 5,000 homes, about 8,000 kids that did not have access to internet, and all their classes were going to be moved online. New York has it pretty bad. So on behalf of the Buffalo Bills and the players, I led a charge to get $500,000 to put Wi-Fi in those 5,000 homes so that those kids could go to school this year. I have scholarships at my high school that athletes can apply to, that, you have to have a certain GPA, certain community service work, and varsity letters in a couple different sports. And I'll help pay for your college. I work with the Veterans Hospital and World War II veterans and Vietnam veterans. So there's just so much stuff that I get involved with. If there's ever a story I hear about, even for the holidays, there was a family in Buffalo whose apartment burned down with 4 children, lost all the clothes that they had. And so we went out and bought them all new clothes and got them a bunch of Bills gear for Christmas. So really just anytime I hear a story in need, I want to get involved. And a lot of times with the Walter Payton Man of the Year, people are nominated for one big thing they did. Like this person donated $1 million to cancer research, or this person bought school buses for this school so kids can go to school. It's kind of one big thing. Mine's not really like that. Mine is just an accumulation of hundreds of hours of work I put in every year to serve. And I think when you add it all up, you can see how big of a part it is of my identity.
And it sounds like playing for the Bills has afforded you a lot of opportunities to get in the community and be more than just a football player. So now that we've heard a little bit about that impact, what is it about playing for the Bills as a player that you kind of learned and has become a part of who you are?
Yeah, well, playing for that city, you just realize how important it is. And, it's hard unless you're from kind of a smaller, salt of the earth town that you understand that football is everything. I'm from Omaha, Nebraska. And so Nebraska football here is unbelievable. You can't go to you can't go anywhere without seeing Nebraska flags, hoodies, tattoos. People got, I mean, it's Nebraska, go Big Red. And it's similar in Buffalo. There's nothing else in Buffalo. There's the Buffalo Bills, and that, I mean, we have a hockey team, but you know what I mean. In Western New York, people rally around their Buffalo Bills, and it's a relatively poorer community. It's not like a Palo Alto, California, or New York City. There's not a lot of money in Buffalo, but these people who don't have a lot of money, up everything they have, live in really small houses, and have bad old cars, so that they can afford season tickets to come watch you play. And it's incredible to see the stories of grandparents who bring their sons, who bring their grandkids, and they, lineage of Bills fans. And so when I go out there to play the game, I'm not just motivated for my own success to want to win a Super Bowl or to want to be a Pro Bowler. I'm out there and realizing that when we work hard and we earn a win for our team, the whole city of Buffalo is brought joy. And for hardworking people, it means the world to just make one day a happiness, one day a smiles for that city.
That is amazing. And last but not least, is there anything that you want to say that you feel I either haven't asked or you haven't been able to talk about to our kids, just about you, what you've got going on in the future before we end?
I didn't even ask, what is the typical age range of the kids that will be watching?
So our audience is anywhere from age 5, 6, depending on the sport, all the way up until 18 if you're still registered as a senior in high school.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, this interview is probably more geared towards, those older middle school and into high school age kids. And to those kids, I would just say, make sure you go, if you have desires to play whatever your sport is at the next level, soccer, baseball, basketball, volleyball, whatever it is, there's a school out there that you can find that will want to take you. You just have to go the extra mile. So I'm from small town in, Nebraska. Well, no one in California, in Stanford, California, or Austin, Texas, or Florida, they never come to Nebraska to recruit, and they would never come to my high school. There's only been one player in my high school that ever went Division I in football. So we're not a powerhouse team. So if you're from a smaller town or you're not in the biggest class in your state, you just have to go the extra mile to find a school that you want to play for. And, I would Google colleges in the area or whatever. You can Google wherever you want to play. If you want to go to Colorado, just Google, women's volleyball in Colorado, and it'll give you a list of however many schools there are, whatever division they are. And you can search those websites and find the email addresses of the coaches, of the recruiting staff. You can find their names. I would find the names of a coach. I'd look them up on Facebook, add them on Facebook, message them on Facebook, email them when I found their school email address, find somebody on Twitter, whatever it is. These schools, they're people, and they're out there on social media. And so if you really want to go somewhere, you got to put the foot forward. I remember there was a weekend that I sent 800 emails out in one weekend to 50 different schools because they never heard of my school, they never seen my film, they never even traveled to Nebraska to look at kids. And so wherever you're from, if you have aspirations to play at the next level, you make sure you put in the work.